We are going to be talking about healing during the winter solstice through the lens of curanderismo and holistic healing. The 3 levels of healing are the mental level, the spiritual level, and the material level. So the material level has to do with the body and healing the outer body. And we can do that through things like plants, juices, tinctures, oils, candles, this is papaya, and tea, this is ginger tea. Like Cheo's mom says, plants are all around us, and we just have to be aware of that and bring that into our lives to be healthier. The second level of healing is the spiritual level, and that has to do with the soul, obviously, and believing that the healing will work, that belief and faith within you. Someone's performing a limpia on you, you think, oh no, this is not going to work, no, it won't work. And that brings me to the mental level of healing. Is kind of similar to the second level, the spiritual level. In this case, the curandero or the curandera doing the healing has to be in a good spot mentally, otherwise they'll just give all their negative vibes to you instead of the good vibes and you won't be healed. The third level of healing really has to do with the mentality of self, what we are currently going through that is causing us strife and stress in our lives. Just like in one of the video modules, Donita and Rita, who said, say what you want to be healed out loud so we can heal that and we can know what needs to be healed, what rituals need to be done. El Nino actually cured a mute once by making him stand in front of a swing and then kicking him from the back. Well, this person got so angry that he stood his ground and finally found his voice. So it worked. He was healed. Speaking of standing ground and being grounded, in 2019, Last Name Manning said in an article in Indian Collective that to be energized agents of change, we have to be totally and completely be grounded and strong. Healing the mind, body, and spirit is really just the connectedness of all these levels of healing. So let's talk about the rituals in traditional medicine. One, I already mentioned it, was limpias. And limpias can help cure stuff like mal de ojo and susto, which is the evil eye, and magical fright. And that can be done with an egg, and you want to dispose of the egg after doing that spiritual cleansing, or through smudging with sage or sweetgrass. Another thing that can be cured through a ritual is gavia de molera, soft head or fallen frontal for babies. Drinking tea can be a ritual, a simple ritual that anyone can do all on its own, like I'm doing right now, drinking my ginger tea, to cure things like empacho, which is digestive problems and or an upset stomach. Because we start with healing the outer body, but the more you drink that tea, the more you prepare those juices, it starts healing your inner body, your brain, and your spirit. That's the last thing that gets healed. Speaking of spirit, anger illnesses, which gets everybody. It's a big part of mental health, why the spirit gets lost when the mental health is bad. But anger illnesses like bilies and muna, those can be cured through simple human touch, like shaw alignments or mantenidas or temescals, which is a mix of human touch and the earth's touch. And another thing that's a mix of human touch and the earth's touch is ventosas, fire cupping, where you take a glass and you go up and down the spine a number of times to heal what the person's feeling. Geotherapy, which is solely just the earth's touch, getting that soil all around your body and being healed that way. A few people that did so much healing and never charged for any of the healing they did with people and healed their spirits were the 3 great curanderos of yesteryear. Don Jamirio, Pedrito, Teresita, and El Niño Fidencio. They were all considered living saints in their time, and now they're all considered folk saints. Teresita was called La Santa de Cabora. She was a mestiza, the daughter of an indigenous woman who worked on her father's ranch, and she prescribed herbs. But she also had powers of hypnosis and prophecy. Another indigenous person who worked on the ranch after she went to go live with her father at 16 when her mother just disappeared. We don't know if she died or not. That's still up in the air. When she went to her father's ranch, she came across someone who she really befriended, Julia, who recognized her don, which is the gift of healing. And since she was the daughter of a curandero, she kind of helped her harness it. She was definitely a mentor for Teresita. And a lot of people call Teresita the Mexican Joan of Arc. I call her the Mexican Snow White because after going through a terrible assault, she started to have seizures, and one of those seizures resulted in the coma. Everyone thought she was dead, but she wasn't in fact dead. Her spirit was just lost, and she awoke eventually, but with the prophecy that somebody would take the place in her coffin, and sure enough, Julio was the one who passed away weeks later. Eventually, she was exiled, I think because of her gift and people were afraid of her, but it was also mainly because of her protest against Porfirio Diaz's policy, who was a dictator of Mexico at the time, of confiscating the Indians' lands. Because she spoke out and stood her ground, she was exiled to Arizona, and eventually she settled in El Paso, Texas, did have 2 kids and all that. She died at 32, which is very young, from bronchitis actually, which is sad. But from all that, from the protest and her having her great gift, people just followed her and still follow her to this day, and those people are called Teresistas. Another person who had, and still has, a great number of followers was El Niño Fidencio, and his followers were called Fidencistas. There's actually still a Fidencista movement that goes on every March and October on the anniversary of his birth and death. They go to these Fidencistas dressed, most of them dressed in white shirts and kerchiefs. And they go to Espinazo twice a year to get healed. And El Niño prescribes laughter, food, and merriment. In Espinazo, there's actually a huge use of geotherapy and mud baths. And he's actually the most popular spirit that curanderos of today channel in order to heal people now. A couple of people who channel spirits were and are Chanchito and Michael Guzio. Chanchito channeling El Nino and Michael Guzio channeling the Archangel Michael. And the third curandero was Don Pedrito Hamilio. He healed around the same time as Teresita, and from what I understand, he was actually the first folk saint before El Nino and Teresita. He was the first to rise to prominence. He prescribed water, baths, and mud. That's why us as kids always play in mud, because we know it's healing. And he adopted a son. Winter Solstice. Let's get into that. It helps with all the 3 levels of healing. If you want to get into the 3 levels of healing and really heal your body, celebrate the winter solstice. It's a decolonial act. Don't eat out. Home cook your meals. Eat those fruits and vegetables. Carrots. So many of those can heal so many ailments, and we just, as humans, overlook that. We're just like, oh yeah, go to the fast food restaurant. We can drink tea and pray to the root. And just exist and be and unplug from technology. It is a time for us to be completely aware of our bodies and paying attention to its needs in order to know what needs healing. One way we can check in with our body every day is through reflexology, as said in Curandero Medicine Without Borders. Once I read that, I'm like, wait, I read the definition, I'm like, my Nana always told me that. Reflexology in a nutshell is basically showing that connectedness in your body. So the middle of your foot, for example, is your stomach or your digestive system, or the middle of your palm is your stomach or digestive system. Checking in with all those different parts of your body will help other parts. Mind, body, and spirit must work in tandem. Let's go into my Nana and her healing journey to conclude. She really connected to her spirit.
Connect with self. By going through limpias, I found myself able to connect with me and discover self. I worked with Reiki physicians, or not physicians, but Reiki therapists.
And it did wonders for her mentality and mental health. You start healing from the outer body in. I mean, it did take her a few years, but she did eventually become completely grounded and whole. She actually found out she was adopted, and then she started to take up praying to the 4 directions and Father Sky, Mother Earth, and the Creator. Yeah, she became grounded. And now it's my turn. I will probably be in contact somehow with Donita Gonzalez if she's still healing, considering she lives here in the North Valley in Albuquerque. Yeah, I learned a lot, and I really got in touch with my Mexican roots that I never really had. So thank you for this class, and I hope you enjoyed that presentation. I'm gonna go check on my dog now.